Hello, my name is Whitney Robertson, and my persuasive speech is on capital punishment, which is considered the death penalty. And I am writing against the death penalty because I do not believe in the death penalty. And here's my speech. The death penalty was used as the ultimate punishment in American courts, but is it necessary now? The death the death sentence is used when the offender killed another person with undisputed evidence. The death penalty was used more often during the early years of the United States and is even more accurate now. Even with all the modern technology we have today, the death penalty is still hindered by a few factors. The death penalty should be used less because the murder rates are slowly dropping, prejudice against the defendants, and the cost of death sentence. There are 5 different forms of execution in the United States, which consist of hanging, electrocution, lethal injection, lethal gas, and firing squad. All of these should be illegal. It does not prevent crime. It is a crime, and it encourages violence. It is also very expensive. With the United States struggling with the economy, people are now asking, is this the way to spend the money? A California state commission reported that its death penalty system costs more than $100 million a year to administer. First of all, the death penalty is not a warning to crime. There are still criminals who continue breaking the law. In fact, only 20% of the United States show evidence that executions do prevent crime. The murder rate in non-death penalty states has actually remained consistently lower than in death penalty states, and the gap has grown since 1990. Supreme Court Justice William Brennan says it is not denied that many and probably most capital crimes cannot be deterred by the threat of punishment. On average, states where capital punishment does seem to deter crime tend to execute many more people than in the states where there seems to be no warning effect. So only if a state executes many people does prevention grow. A reason to stop the death sentencing is because the murder rates are slowly declining. In the West region of the United States, the murder rate was 5.6 murders in 2006, then dropped to 5.3 murders in 2007. In the Northeast region of the United States, murder rates were 4.5 murders per every 100,000 in 2006 and dropped to 4.1 per 100,000 in 2007. The murder rate are slowly dropping, meaning a decreased need for the death penalty. Another reason for not using the death penalty is because of the prejudice from the jury and possible the judge. The death penalty shouldn't be used because the jury and the judge could be prejudiced against the defendant and given an unfair verdict. Professor Brooke Butler of the University of South Florida released a study showing that jurors were more inclined to the death penalty for women, homosexuals, and people of different races. Another study by Professor Scott Phillips of the University of Denver showed that the district attorney was more likely to impose the death sentence upon black defendants than on white defendants. The death penalty is a major decision in a court case. Having a prejudice against the defendant could have very serious consequences of the defendants. While the death sentence is a very important decision, it is a very expensive decision. Also, the death penalty itself is a crime. The death penalty is a murder, and two wrongs don't make a right. There is no point in murdering people who have committed murder because then no one has been taught a lesson. In the United States has successfully executed about 700 since 1976 when the death penalty was reinstated, and unfortunately, Kansas has been a death penalty state since 1994. There are currently 36 states, including Kansas, which allow capital punishment. Others, like Illinois, have slowly or temporarily discontinued the use of capital punishment because of the innocent defendants. Lastly, the, the death penalty encourages violence. In 80% of the United States, murder rates actually increase after execution takes place. California has the largest death row in the United States with approximately 650 inmates. Executions lead to a brutalization effect, a climate of violence and killing to avenge grievances. Representative Jack Miner remarks, the death penalty is not a warning. In fact, the figures would suggest it's just the opposite. The cost of single execution could be very extravagant compared to a regular court case. A study from the University of North Carolina showed that a capital case could be $200,000 more than a non-capital case. A study from the American Civil Liberties Union of Northern California stated that the cost from all the expenses could cost up to $1 million for just one capital case. These factors are very important in declining to charge the defendant with death penalty. The death sentence is a very important decision and could also turn a sentence because of these factors. The murder rates are slowly dropping all over the country. There could be prejudice in the jury, which could cause a shift in the verdict unfairly. The cost of the whole case could go into millions just for one court case. So if you ever find yourself in a position on a murder jury, then please do the right thing. At a murder victim support group, a large group of approximately 40 people say their names and the member of the family who was murdered, and last, then when they are finished, they announce, "And I oppose to the death penalty." These are the people who have come to realize by killing a murderer, no lives are being saved, no lives will be returned, and no one is learning a lesson from the execution. It is only revenge, which is no good for anyone. The death penalty is expensive. It is not a warning. It is actually a crime because it's a murder and encourages violence. Therefore, the death penalty should be illegal. Here is a quote from Senator Edith Pregue from the Hartford Courant. This was reported on April 5th, 2012, and I found this interesting. "I cannot stand the thought of being responsible for someone falsely accused and facing the death penalty. For me, this is a moral issue. I don't want to be a part of a system that sends innocent people to the death penalty." I found that quote interesting because I agree with her in all cases.